Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been searching all over the web for something interesting to watch, then I think I have the solution, because right now I'm going to talk about the movie The Perks of Being a Wallflower. If you're wondering why I'm kind of speaking in kind of a more quiet, like ASMR-ish kind of tone, that is because at the time that I'm recording this, it is 1:04 in the morning, and while I could have waited until the day to record this, I just felt like I just couldn't wait. I'm going to just basically explore the plot of The Perks of Being a Wallflower and just kind of tell my experience of seeing this film and just kind of like how much it means to me. So before I can explain the movie and my experience, if you can please hit the like button and subscribe and comment on this video, that would greatly mean a lot to me. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's get started. So I started watching the Perks of Being a Wallflower about a couple years ago, back in 2024. This movie came out in 2012, and I turned 6 in December of 2012, and my sister grew up with this movie. Like, she has the DVD to this day, and she really loves this film. And when I saw this film, I was like, oh my god, there is a reason why my sister loves it, and it's because it is one of the high school films. I'm talking about like one of the high school films, and maybe one of the last like great high school films. Like, to me, I think it's like a timeless film, because regardless of what time it's set in the 90s, but yet it came out in 2012, but yet it still relates, I think, a lot to generations. And one of the reasons I think it relates to generations, because it represents kind of like the feeling of high school, the feeling of being awkward, the feeling of being an outcast, the feeling of like being who you want to be, but also the feelings of emotion and feelings, and especially with the main character, like him having clinical depression, and with some of the other characters, like with their own feelings, like one of them, like a couple of them being gay and having to like hide who they are because of the fear of discrimination. And there's much more that I'll get into right now as I explain the plot. So, and this movie is based on a book. This movie's based on a book by a man named Stephen Chbosky, I think it is. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. He wrote this book basically back in the late 90s, but it took until 2012 to finally make a film that he thought would suit the book well, which is why it's set in the 90s and not in 2012, just so you know. And the book goes into more detail on these characters. This is the same guy, by the way, who directed the Dear Evan Hansen movie, which, yeah, that film is definitely a lot different than The Perks of Being a Wallflower, and we could definitely talk about that on a different day if you want me to. But anyway, let's get into the Perks of Being a Wallflower. So we start off this film. We learn about this character named Charlie, who's played by Logan Lerman. He's been recently discharged from like a hospital because he has like clinical depression, and like we see this, but we as the viewers, we don't know what exactly led him to it. Like, after all, it's beginning, but we don't know what exactly led to it exactly yet, but we start to pick up on some clues throughout the movie. So at this point in time, when he is like out of the hospital, it is time for him to go back to school, and he's about to start high school. And honestly, that's kind of a crazy time to be released from a hospital, because as much as, you know, as like we're glad at the fact that he's gotten better and, you know, now he can live like a normal life like usual, the fact that he's being released from like a mental hospital, literally is about to start high school. He's about to start a whole new chapter. So him getting back into the reality of society, like, you know, that's definitely got to be like a big adjustment, in my opinion. So he goes to high school, and it's very immediate that he like doesn't like he believes he doesn't fit in with the people, and he's just really shy. And me personally, as someone who suffers anxiety, I get it. I suffer anxiety, so like I get the feeling of being lonely. I remember my first 2 years of high school, I just kind of felt out of place. So I definitely get his feeling of being out of place. He mentions in the movie about how he saw this one girl who he knew in middle school and talked to a lot, but as soon as they got to high school, this girl just stopped talking to him. And that is a really great depiction of how social life can really change after middle school, because there are a bunch of people I knew from my middle school or elementary school that I talked to kind of every day, or maybe every week, that when I started high school I just stopped talking to. And maybe it's because I just stopped contributing to my side of the relationship, or maybe it was because we just took different paths. I don't know. Should I have done more? Maybe I should have. Should they have done more? Maybe they should have. It's anyone's guess as to why we drift apart from people that we knew from our past, unless we had bad blood or something like that. But if we didn't, then it's anyone's guess. So he starts high school, and basically the whole entire movie he's writing to someone, but we don't know exactly who he's writing to. That's how he narrates the whole entire story that he's telling. And on the first day of school, he's automatically teased by his classmates, especially by one blonde girl that just sits next to him and just keeps really dehumanizing him. And it's like come on, really why do you gotta belittle him or something like that, just because of who he is, or maybe what he dresses like, or just how he acts towards people. I mean, it's one thing if he's rude, but if he's just really just shy, I don't get why you have to act like that. I've ran into people that were like that because I'm a shy person. I have a lot of anxiety. So yeah. And on this first day of school, he meets his English teacher, who's played by Paul Rudd. This English teacher named Mr. Anderson, and basically that's really the only friend he really makes on that first day. And honestly, sure, maybe they're a teacher, maybe they're a little bit older, but I mean, the fact that Mr. Anderson himself is even believing that Charlie has found a friend with him being his friend, that's honestly really sweet, because there are some teachers where they say, oh, teachers and students cannot be friends, and I mean, I guess that's kind of true, but in a way, it kind of isn't. It just really depends on how teachers see students, relationship wise. And me personally, I think it's fine for teachers to be friends with students, whether they are students of the teacher or not, just as long as it just doesn't get any further than just being friends. So basically, right here at the movie, we are now introduced to his family, and we see his sister Candace and her boyfriend Ponytail Derek. And Candace and Derek, they're part of this they're part of saving the earth club. And Charlie is hey, can I hang out with you until I find my place at high school? But Candace says no, and I'm come on, let your brother hang out with you until at least he gets settled in, I mean, if I had a younger sibling that needed my help, just so that way they can find their social calling, I would help them. That's just me. And we already see the boyfriend Derek just being interesting, honestly. there's no other words really just to put it. He's like already stands out. Like there's definitely something up with this guy. And while that is also happening, he notices this Charlie notices in his wood shop this guy that's just like acting out, just kind of making a scene, like especially for the teacher, because he just does not like being in a wood shop. And we learn that this guy is named Patrick, and this is Ezra Miller's character. So Patrick, he's a senior in a class with the freshman, so he's the only senior there. And like Charlie notices this very quickly, and then Charlie's at a football game. Like at one point during like that first semester, and he notices Patrick, and like he sees like Patrick is like sitting alone at the moment, and he decides to make conversation with Patrick. And like Patrick, says, "Hey, like if you want to talk to me, come join." So it's like. So, pretty cool gesture from Patrick. And then we see Patrick's stepsister, Sam, come in. And Sam is played by Emma Watson, who we all know as Hermione Granger from Harry Potter. Immediately, like, Charlie introduces himself to Sam. And, like, obviously, like, there's definitely something, like, between them, like, immediately happening just from them meeting each other. And I will say it's also interesting to see Emma Watson in this film, because it's just interesting to see her with an American accent and not a British accent, because, like I said, we all know her from Harry Potter. We're all used to her British accent, so and there you go. After the football game, all three, they go have dinner, or not dinner, but like they go to a cafe, and they just kind of get to know each other. And then like they're just talking about like their favorite music, and really just talking about kind of like what they want to do. And Charlie, he talks about how he wants to be like a writer, and like and that definitely is very relevant, especially in the narration. Like he's definitely like, it feels like now that we know that he wants to be a writer, now like we as the audience, okay, maybe he's actually writing maybe a book, and maybe this whole movie is literally his book, which it kind of like, that's like a common, I feel like it's a common framing device for either a movie or a book to have when it comes to how a story is narrated. So after Patrick and Sam drop off Charlie, he comes home and he sees his sister Candace being abused by her boyfriend, Ponytail Derek, and immediately we now kind of see who Derek truly is. He's just a jerk. And this is one of the themes that this movie tackles, and that is domestic like abuse, or just abuse in general. And that's one of the themes that is tackled through this movie, that we're going to see moving forward. So Charlie, like he sees this, he wants to help, but like Candace is like don't help me, I'll be fine. And Charlie, like he feels from this, because he knows that like his aunt had suffered from abuse. His aunt Helen had suffered from abuse. So like he definitely kind of like, at least like he doesn't know the exact feeling, but like he kind of can understand a little bit of it. So eventually Charlie goes to homecoming, and like basically he's just like standing against the wall, aka the Wallflower, I guess, in a way. And he sees Patrick and Sam like on the dance floor, and he's like, it's like, you know what, I'm gonna go join them, whether if they say no or not, I'm gonna try to go and join them, is what he's like telling himself. And immediately Patrick and Sam, they see him, they recognize him, and I really like how they greeted him, because they kind of greeted him like, like they've been waiting for him to show up. And that's honestly really sweet, because I can imagine Charlie has probably made scenarios in his head of how this situation could have turned out, and this is the best scenario that that could have turned out. So afterwards, after the homecoming, they go to a party with their friends, and this is where we meet like a couple friends, one named Bob, a Mary Elizabeth, and Alice. And this is when we also meet Sam's current boyfriend, Craig. And Charlie, like, he like sees him, and he's like, oh boy, yeah. No other words to really explain of how his feeling is when he sees Craig. So then Charlie, like during the party, he's offered a brownie during this, and the brownie is clearly not the regular type of brownie that you would think of. And Charlie, he doesn't know this, but like he's given a brownie, and Sam and Patrick immediately see, and they're like, oh my god, he's eating a brownie. He's like they're about to stop him, but like he's already kind of like gotten like infused with which turns out it was a marijuana brownie. And then Charlie basically he's infused with this drug, and basically this drug kind of turned into like a truth-telling serum like for him, because he's just talking about like just kind of like what's on his mind right now, like the things that normally that you would keep to yourself. But like it's interesting to watch, but it's also kind of sad to watch, because technically they kind of drugged him like in a way, even though they didn't know that he didn't know as well. So it was also during that party as well that Charlie, like while he's baked, in his words, baked like a cake, he goes up and he sees Patrick and Brad, who's the football quarterback, played by Johnny Simmons. And basically we get the revelation that Patrick and Brad are gay and are in a secret relationship, but obviously this is the 90s, they're trying to avoid discrimination. So, and especially with Brad being a football quarterback, this definitely makes a lot of sense, at least in his side of the story, to keep the relationship a secret. So, and then Charlie, like when he was sitting down on the carpet talking to everybody and doing his truth telling, he was also talking about how like he wanted a milkshake, and while Sam graciously makes that milkshake for him, he talks a little bit about kind of like what his social life was like before he met like everyone. And he was talking about how he had a best friend that unfortunately killed himself, and Charlie is like, oh, he shot himself. And I was like, I wish he let that know. He's trying to make comedy at something that is very depressing and probably affected him a lot. He probably doesn't want to think about it in his point of view like that much. And that's one of the clues I think led him to being in the mental hospital, because when this like happened, like it was during the previous year before the story, the events. And I think this is one of the things that led him into the hospital. Maybe this is the entire reason that he's in the hospital. Like we, the viewers of the movie, don't know. I haven't read the book, just so everyone knows. So it's possible the book might actually explain this more. But yeah, I have not read the book. I just have to be honest about that. So anyway, after Charlie talks about his best friend and kind of like what happened to him, Sam goes to Patrick and is like like, hey bro, like Charlie does not like have any friends, like his best friend like killed himself. So like Patrick, he decides to make a great big step and just welcome Charlie into his group of friends. And that's just a really sweet gesture, now, because now Charlie has a place of inclusion. He feels like he can be himself. He feels like he can finally be included with like a bunch of friends and everything. And that's awesome. And now that Charlie has like these new friends, especially Patrick and Sam, now he's like now starting to be present in her lives. Charlie starts to help Sam with their SATs because she wants to get into Penn State after she graduates. And like now like time is like moving forward as we speak, and Christmas is now coming up, and they start like going to like a party, and it's on the drive home that they hear a song that to them it's like the magical like moment of the night to them when they hear this song, but they don't know what this song like is. Keep in mind, this was the 90s, so Shazam did not exist then. Like the internet existed, but like not Shazam. So if you wanted to find what song that was playing on the radio was, you either had to memorize the singer's voice, or you just had to go to the record store and buy every album that they had in the hopes of finding one song, or maybe even find a lyric sheet. But I guarantee you that one of those plans would probably leave you in a lot of debt, maybe. That is, if you can return all the other records except for that one that has a song. They drive through this tunnel, and this is where an iconic moment starts to form as Sam basically goes through the to the roof of the car and just kind of like puts her like arms kind of like side to side and just kind of like feels like flying. It feels like it feels like they kind of like ripped the scene from Titanic, the flying scene from Titanic, and like they just decided let's apply it to the perks of being a wallflower somehow. That's why I feel like it kind of is to me, like in my opinion, but like I could be wrong. It's at the same time as well that they are doing this gift exchange, a Secret Santa gift exchange, all the friends with each other. And during this exchange, Sam like gives Charlie a gift, and the gift is a typewriter, which typewriters probably had to be like at least a little bit of money to get. Like I'm pretty sure it's still money now if we were to get them today. But I think it was a genuine great gesture for Sam like to give, and this obviously is a typewriter that Charlie is what we believe he's writing on as he narrates the whole story, because we still believe that he is possibly writing a book, like we the viewers. So Sam like asks Charlie to to go up with her to her room, and basically they just talk about their lives. They just talk about kind of like the relationships that they had, and Sam also writes on the typewriter to write about them during the exchange as well, to write about them. And and obviously Charlie has taken that advice literally within this movie. Sam also starts to talk about kind of a side of her story that is it's a dark side of her story, but it's also true and definitely needs to be told. And that is when she was 11, the first kiss that she ever got was literally from her father's freaking boss. And my God, the people that exist in society, some of these people still exist out there in society these days, and it makes me wonder why people like this exist. So basically Charlie talks about how he's never been kissed ever, and Sam kind of does this thing where she wants to basically kiss Charlie, in the sense that despite being in a relationship at the moment, she wants to kiss him because she wants his first kiss to be special and to be from someone that loves him. And I thought that the sentiment, I think, was genuine. However, though, we have to remind ourselves that Charlie is a freshman and Sam is a senior, and it's honestly kind of like a controversial take because in a way, like, I mean, it's not too much of an age gap or difference, but it's like, but also at the same time, like, it is like they obviously see life kind of maybe in different ways, and maybe they like they're definitely mature for their age. That is one thing for sure. But it's like, I don't know, I just kind of have complicated feelings, and I've seen relationships, freshman senior relationships on either side. Like, I've seen that happen before in my life. So to me, I'm like I don't know. Also, the other thing to note about this particular day is because the same day that the gift exchange is happening is also the same day that Charlie's birthday is, and it's on this very day that his Aunt Helen happened to die. And Aunt Helen was a big figure in Charlie's life, and that's something we're going to learn more about as we focus on this story further. So Aunt Helen, she died in a car accident, and basically what was happening is she was getting a present for him, and this death kind of affected Charlie because in a way he feels like he killed her, because she wouldn't have gotten the car if Charlie's birthday wasn't happening that day. She would have not gotten the present and everything. So this this definitely troubles him, and this is definitely one of the clues that we start to kind of devolve into when it comes to Charlie and kind of how his mental state works, and kind of the things that he remembers in life, with that death of Aunt Helen happening, but also the death of his best friend as well. And it's also during that he takes drugs during this, and he's just he's just tripping on drugs, and he passes out in the snow, and he's found by the police, and they take him to the hospital, where they treat him for any potential hypothermia, and he's released back to his parents. It's also around the same time that one of the friends from the friend group, Mary Elizabeth, who's played by Mae Whitman, she starts to take a liking to Charlie, and Charlie goes to the Sadie Hawkins dance with Mary Elizabeth. And basically after the dance, they go to her house. Mary Elizabeth just now declares that Charlie is her boyfriend, and Charlie he's trying to be nice about it. He clearly does not want to be with this girl, and it's nothing that there's nothing wrong with Mary Elizabeth exactly that would make nobody want her, but it's just not what Charlie's interested in. He's definitely interested in Sam, but obviously he can't have Sam because Sam is with Craig. So, but he has to continue a relationship because he doesn't want to hurt Mary Elizabeth's feelings, and that definitely makes sense. It's at the same time that time has passed, obviously, but it's around the same time that during Truth or Dare, Charlie is dared by Patrick. He's dared to kiss who he believes is the prettiest girl in the room, and he ends up kissing Sam instead of Mary Elizabeth, and because Mary Elizabeth was expecting him to kiss her, and this kind of upset them both, and pretty much it kind of shocked everybody. It shocked everybody in the room, and Patrick, he's also shocked, and he's just just for the sake of for them to kind of just recover from what happened, it's best for Charlie just to stay away for a little while until things cool down. And this is kind of the point where Charlie's mental state starts to kind of go down. It's starting to kind of go down after a long time of being at a stable spot. It's now starting to kind of become a little more unstable, because at that point in time, he basically had these friends, and basically they were a distraction of his thoughts. And now, without this distraction of his thoughts, now he's starting to kind of think about the things that are giving him PTSD, that are giving him trauma that caused his depression. And he keeps getting flashbacks of especially his aunt, the night that she died, and this is all continuing to haunt him. And while this is also happening, like, his friends are just ignoring him. Obviously, like, you know, they told him to stay away and they're just ignoring him. So they're like, and it's also at the same time that Brad's father caught Brad and Patrick basically having sex, and like Brad's father did not take it well, and he basically bruised like Brad's face, and Brad, he comes to school and he's trying to like not tell anybody what like exactly happened to him, and like Patrick, he sees this and like he knows like exactly what happened, but Brad is just trying to play cool. He's just trying to play cool, especially for his, you know, football buddies, you know. But like Patrick, you know, he's hurt by this because like it's because like he kind of wants, like, he's hurt by this because he knows that Brad like knows what exactly happened, but like, you know, and he's still trying to put on this facade of something that like he really isn't. Like, he's not one of the stereotypical football jocks that just discriminates and just cares about themselves. Like, you know, he loves who he loves. And after Patrick starts to leave, Brad calls him the F slur, and this obviously enrages Patrick, and Patrick and Brad start to get into a fight, and Brad's friends like obviously try to beat up Patrick, and like Sam, she's trying to intervene, but like she's prevented from doing so. And then Charlie, like he's seeing this, and he's like, you know, my friends may be like ignoring me, like things might not be great with us, but like these were the people like, you know, gave me a chance, you know, and I'm not gonna let that I'm not gonna just turn my back on them, you know. Like, he's definitely that friend that's definitely still loyal despite everything that might be going on. And that's the one great thing about Charlie, is he's the friend that I feel like we all need, the friend that stays loyal no matter what. And Charlie, he guns in the fight, and he just like literally just punches out like Brad's friend that's like beating Patrick, and like he basically tells him like touch him again and I'll blind you. And like Charlie, he's even shocked by what he just did. He's even shocked, like his hand is clearly bruised because of how hard he hit with that punch. And it's also at the same time that Patrick and Brad are kind of like no longer a thing, because like we just got into a fight, like, you know, like how do you really recover from that? So basically after this, Charlie meets with Sam, and like basically he apologizes for what happened that night, and like he asks us if they could become friends again, and Sam obviously says yes. And so, you know, yay, they're friends again. So after that, Patrick, he's just upset, like he's just upset with everything that's happened, like regarding the fight, regarding Brad, and he starts to talk to Charlie more. He starts to become close, and there's one night where he just impulsively kisses Charlie, and Charlie, you know, obviously does not, you know, return those affections, but like, you know, he's also not gonna like immediately punch Patrick though, for doing that. Like Charlie does definitely understand his unhappiness, and it's also at the same moment that we find out that Sam finds Craig cheating on her and basically breaks up with him. So now Sam's single, and now technically this is now Charlie's chance to be with her. Now we've moved forward in time. Graduation is about to approach for Sam and Patrick, and Sam is accepted into Penn State, and there's a leaving party for her thrown by her friends, and Charlie helps her pack up for Penn State. And Sam is like asking Charlie like, why have you never told me that you liked me? Why have you never like asked me out? Like she's asking all these questions, um and like, you know, Sam like explains at the end of the day that she does not want to be just somebody's crush. She wants to be like somebody's like genuine like love, and that definitely makes sense. Like for her, that definitely makes sense for like a lot of people that want to have genuine love in their life. And they start to finally kiss like officially as boyfriend and girlfriend. And Sam starts to touch him on his thigh, but Charlie like immediately pulls away, and there's something that obviously clearly is affecting Charlie at that moment when Sam touched Charlie on the thigh, even though Charlie like just brushes it off and says, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine. I don't know why I did that." And there's like something that like now we get like a flashback again of Aunt Helen, and now we are starting to kind of pick up on clues that maybe Aunt Helen was not just abused but was also an abuser. And the following day, Charlie watches Sam leave for university, and like in a way he's like, he starts to kind of break down. He starts to walk home, and he's just kind of just thinking of everything, not just of Aunt Helen, but he's also kind of thinking like, oh, all my friends are leaving me, like, you know, everything like is like everything is kind of like now just kind of just fading away, and like, but like Aunt Helen is basically on the top of his mind despite all that. Like Aunt Helen is like on top of his mind because he knows what Aunt Helen had did to Charlie, and this is definitely a cycle that definitely happens, I think, with a lot of abusers, is that when abusers abuse people, that is because they were abused as well, and that's definitely a very common cycle, in my opinion, to happen. And honestly, it's a messed up cycle, and I don't think should ever happen, but sometimes it just does. And yeah, it's just really terrible that Charlie had to go through that. He gets back home and he calls Candace, who is like at her friend's house, and like and Charlie is like, he's now kind of like at his worst state that he's ever been now at this point of the story, and like he's just kind of like freaking out. Like he's just thinking about Aunt Helen. He's thinking about like the night that she died, like, and like how he feels guilty. And Candace obviously immediately knows that Charlie is not like well, and she does what any big brother or sister would do, and that is to get him help. She tells her friend to call the police or something because she knows what could potentially happen. After he puts down the phone, he sees a knife, and you know, clearly, like, we all know what's going to happen if that police didn't barge in the door immediately as soon as Charlie was about to do what we all know what he did, and that was basically probably like kill himself like his friend did the previous year. And all this is happening in a big like flash of moments, and as soon as like this kind of reaches the peak of the moments, Charlie like now wakes up in a room at a hospital, and he is visited by his daughter, who is played by Joan Cusack, who played Jessie in Toy Story and also the principal in School of Rock. So that's pretty cool that she makes an appearance in this film. And like, she's telling Charlie that, you know, if you want to get better, you know, you have to talk about these things. You know, you got to talk about these things, even if they're the most uncomfortable things that have happened in your life. You've got to talk about them. And you know, Charlie obviously agrees to start talking about it, and eventually the doctor tells his parents that his aunt had sexually abused him, and his mother is in shock. And you know, honestly, if I were a parent, I probably would be too, because it's like, you find out that your sister had been abusing your kid, and it's just like, you know, it's just like, what the heck? That's just really just crazy and just so messed up, and very there's like a lot of ways it's just really, really, really messed up. So, and this is also complicated as well because Charlie really loved Aunt Helen. Like Aunt Helen, like I said, was a big figure in his life, despite his really complex memories of her and him together. The reason why Charlie never really talked about it, this memory, is because he blamed himself for the death of Aunt Helen. Like, if it weren't for he believed that if it weren't for him having his birthday on Christmas Eve and Aunt Helen getting the present, she would have not died. And this was, like I said, was a memory that affected him very deeply. But eventually, like I said, the doctor is the doctor said, he's got to come true with the truth, or else it's just going to keep affecting him, within his life. And eventually, he is discharged from the hospital a few weeks later, and he goes back home, and he's reunited with his family. And it's right about that time when Sam and Patrick, they surprise him at the door, and they obviously reunite, and they just they talk about kind of what's been happening since college has happened, second year of high school for Charlie. He's a sophomore now, and what Patrick's been up to. And it's at this moment that at the end of the film where they go back into the tunnel, and Sam reveals that she found the song that was playing the very night they first went through the tunnel, and Sam went out through the roof and put her arms out. And the song is a song called Heroes by David Bowie. And Charlie, he climbs into the back of the car, back of the truck actually, and he just starts holding out his arms just like Sam. And it's at this moment where now they say the iconic line where they feel infinite, and that is the whole movie. And my God, it's just a really great movie in my opinion. I feel like this is the movie that every high schooler should watch, or anybody that's about to enter high school should watch. This is one of the movies that on that list that I feel like incoming high schoolers should watch, because despite all the serious topics it discusses, because some people might not completely understand the emotional impacts of all these characters, but to me, I feel like this definitely kind of portrays a realistic depiction of how high school can be, where it's you feel awkward, you feel like maybe you're out of place, maybe you find your place. And it's also a great representation of how people at high school can be. People can either be friendly and outgoing, or people could just be really big jerks to people. And yeah, it's just one of those things that things that just happen in life, especially in high school, where you just meet just different kinds of people. And I really like how it was portrayed in this movie. I really think it is a timeless classic for sure. And if you have not seen The Perks of Being a Wallflower, but yet you somehow stumbled upon this video, I recommend you go watch The Perks of Being a Wallflower after this video. Yeah, that's really my exploration into the story of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. And if you like this video and you want to see more content like this, please, like I said, please like the video, please subscribe, please comment on this video, and also check out some of the other videos I do on this channel. If you have not come to this channel before, my name is Jack, and I do a bunch of videos. I just do whatever I feel like doing on this particular day that I'm filming. And I do covers, I do commentary, I do I do gameplay as well. I just do whatever is interesting to me on that particular day. So if you're a fan of all that, or you just want to just learn something new, or just try something new, then I think this channel could be for you. So yeah, so with all that in mind, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'm going to get some sleep right now. Good night, everybody.